Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Labanga Latika. We have entered the fourth chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Transcendental Knowledge. So yes, I'm very happy to read it, and we just heard Krishna telling Arjuna that he spoke this science to the sun god Vivasvan a very long time ago. And here, text 4, Arjuna is replying. Arjuna vacha aparang bhavato janma parang janma vivasvataha katham etad vijaniyang tvamado proktavaniti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? I like this verse very much because, you see, sometimes we have this idea with religion that it's a very passive thing. You have a book, you have a scripture, you have some leaders, some priests, and they just tell you what to do, and then you just do it. Arjuna, he hears something from Krishna, and it doesn't immediately make sense to him. So if you could react in two different ways. You could do that, passive, religious, obedient person, and we don't understand everything, we will just do it because that's what we're told. That's not what Arjuna does. Or you can do the modern thing. Oh, the scriptures, it's all doesn't make any kind of sense to a modern intelligent person. Let's reject it all out of hand. Arjuna doesn't do that either. He asks a question. He asks Krishna, yes, Vivasvan, millions of years ago, you and I, on this earth, for a reasonable human length of life, how am I to understand this? So that's a very good example for all of us, because many of these things, they will be unusual to a modern person, and then we can think that, okay, I have to accept this now. This is the absolute truth now. I'm going to be a devotee now. Let's just I don't understand anything. I cannot make any sense of it, but I have to accept it. When we do that, when we don't allow our natural doubts to come out, then this actually becomes quite destructive, because then the doubt is held down and pushed down in our heart, and it festers, and then it hinders our actual development of Krishna consciousness, of knowledge, all of that. And also, if we just immaturely, from our own point of view, decide, this is stupid, I will not accept it, I will go away and do whatever I want. When I lived in Denmark for some years, and I don't remember I don't remember the name of this man, wrote an article, and he said, believing in God, this is very stupid. Just look at the stars. If there was an intelligent God, why would he put stars so far away? What use are they? And I'm thinking, that's a very limited way of looking at it. What does he know? The stars are very far away, so he cannot really judge what use they are, because he's not even close to them. They're probably really useful to someone else. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But I will read the purport now. Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord, so how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything and the last word in transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. how Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. Yeah, this is of course also a very important aspect, that the whole situation where Arjuna is asking Krishna, we can look at it from so many angles, but this is one very useful angle. We see that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna is actual, his eternal follower, and Krishna goes from universe to universe and Arjuna comes with him. So they are connected in a very intimate and long-term sense. And Arjuna really doesn't have, a deep doubt, but he has a situational doubt. And Krishna agrees to dispel that doubt in order that this knowledge will be available to all of us. And a question like this, if Arjuna wouldn't have asked it, then Krishna wouldn't have had the opportunity to clear it up, and then we would sit here 5,000 years later and just say, what is this? Viva Swan, how is it even possible? So that is one actually quite common way of doing it. When we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we will read after the Bhagavad-gita if we finish, and if we don't finish it here, then I hope all of you will have the opportunity to get hold of a Srimad Bhagavatam outside of this format. There are many conversations, and it's quite common that spiritual knowledge comes in the form of a conversation. Somebody heard something from their teacher, and then they are telling it to the next person in line. And when we read a book, then we have all this conversation packed inside of each other. Srimad Bhagavatam, we have Mirage Parikshit, who is a descendant of the Pandavas, grandchild, I would say. He has come to the end of his life because he has been cursed to be killed by a snake bird, a very unusual species, who will bite him, and he will die, and he knows about this. So he goes down to the river, he sits down and fasts, and he asks the sages, because he's the emperor of the planet at that time, so he's very famous, and he's also famous for being a pious religious man. He asks there, what is the duty of a man in general, and especially at the time of death? And then many sages are gathered there, but they all defer to Shukadev Goswami, who speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he tells older stories that have also come in the form of a discourse between two persons. And this is, in turn, it is retold, because Sutta Goswami was present, and he's speaking to the sages in Naimisaranya. So this format is always there. You tell something, and you explain it from your own realization, and some listener is there, because how can you speak if nobody's listening? I hope someone is listening. Hopefully someone is there. So in that way, it can be explained from different angles and different points of views, and there will be different questions. And when we hear it later, then those questions, they have already been asked, and it makes it so much easier for us to enter into it ourselves. The devotee will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to hear more and more about him. The atheist who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Satchitananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature, and above the influence of time and space. Yes, because most of us have at least a hypothetical idea of God. God is eternal, God is the source of everything. God is omniscient. He knows everything. He's everywhere. And of course, then he's not limited by time and space. So here Krishna appears at this time, and he seems to have a certain age. And Arjuna is asking, but how are you present then? Because he's not limited. We are limited. The soul is, of course, eternal, but we take birth in one body, and then that body dies, and then it goes to the next body. Krishna doesn't do that. He comes in his own spiritual body, and that body does not die. So what we need to do is to transfer this theoretical idea that there is a God and he is eternal, to transfer that to the actual person Krishna, because there are many benefits to the Bhagavad-gita and to the Vedic literature, but one of the biggest benefits, as far as I can see, is that God is not just a concept. God is an actual person, and we get to meet him, we get to know him, we get to be attracted to him. And then when we read about Krishna, his early pastimes in Vrindavan, he's playing with the cowherd boys, he's playing with the cowherd girls, he's playing with the cows, and it's such a sweet and attractive description that we want to get to know this Krishna better and better. And here in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is more, he's speaking philosophy, he's overseeing a battle in a big war. It's a world war in a way, but they don't kill anybody outside of the battlefield because they have some culture in those days. So we need to transfer our theory, and we need to transfer our attraction to that sweet little Krishna boy playing in Vrindavan to Krishna when he's actually speaking philosophy, and get a wider picture of him and open our hearts wider to come closer to him. Because that's the problem in this material world. That is the actual problem in this material world. We're not really prepared to accept reality, the spiritual side of reality. So we are, I think especially nowadays, we have built up, a philosophical structure in society that kind of negates the need of God. And still there is religion, still there is that natural attraction, or natural need for self-realization. And then when we start on that path, and we start a little bit to become attracted to God consciousness, and then we come up on this statement, God is absolute, God is telling us things, and we rebel because it's very much part of our nature. So maybe it's a little difficult to accept that there is a supreme personality of God and his name is Krishna. But the alternative is actually worse. Because here we have the opportunity to get to know him as a person and to see that this is something that is satisfying on the level of the soul, it is satisfying on the level of the intelligence, it's satisfying on the level of the mind, and it's also something we can practice in our daily life, in this world, in this body that we are in. But in order to do that, we need to get to know Krishna, and that's why he appeared. Well, he appeared for many reasons, of course, but that's one of the reasons. Because if it was just a book speaking about some god, a very theoretical God somewhere else, and how can we love him? If we don't know him, how can we love him? So loving God is not just a theory. A person, if you love a person, how can you love someone you don't know? So Krishna is coming here and he's showing himself to us. He's also showing us a philosophical basis, a practical basis, how to act in this world to come to that point. But he's actually giving us knowledge about himself. And we have Bhagavad-gita here, and we can continue page by page to absorb that knowledge and put it to practice in our lives and get to know Krishna better and better. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.